Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is Word speaking. Today, our webinar is going to be about unlocking efficiency BIM model checking for MEP. So now we started with a new series of webinars where we're going to start talking about the implementation of Verified within different disciplines and areas in the construction. And this one is going to be about MEP. We're going to start with the quick intros and all of that, and then we're going to have a technical session also later on. Before we start, there are some housekeeping rules. So you can use the chat section to ask your questions. You can use also the Q&A button on Teams, whichever suits you. At the end of the session, there will be some time for live Q&A at the end. But of course, you can feel free to drop your questions also in the chat. And the recording will be emailed to you after the webinar. This session is going to be recorded and is going to be also available on our YouTube channel after the session. Perfect. So let me first introduce myself real quick. I'm Murat Turkiya, the Customer Success Manager of Verified here at Xinaps. I've been working closely in the AEC and BIM for some time. I worked on MEP in the capacity of a BIM coordinator and BIM engineer. So my specialty is actually in MEP, and that's why this session is going to be interesting for me and also for you. The agenda is that we're going to have a quick intro to the tool about Verified, and then we're going to discuss the typical workflow of Verified and how it looks like. Then we're going to discuss the MEP validation part on Verified and how it looks like. After that, we're going to go technical and have a live demo. And at the end, we have some updates, which we're happy to share with you. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, let me introduce you to Verified. This is our cloud-based model checker, which allows you to automate your checks, clashes, clash checks, property checks, all of these ones in a browser-based environment, unlike other tools. And this gives you like more flexibility because you're working in an integrated environment, which allows you to collect your files seamlessly and then sync them on the go. So about Verified, a quick brief about it. So we offer an advanced rule-based engine, which allows us to have much more than just a clash check, but we can do properties, free space, duplicates, also IDS for the people who are interested in IFC. And yes, we support IFC files as well, not only Revit. So the file formats that are supported on Verified are IFC, Revit, and 3D DWG files. So yes, we're happy to say that we support open BIM processes if your organization does that. And also we offer an automated design data validation part with software as a service licensing model, which allows, of course, for multiple users to work on Verified license. But of course, the only thing that is measured is concurrent usage. So let's talk a bit about the workflow of Verified. So we call it an integrated workflow because we start by having our files, as I told you, whether Revit, DWG, or IFC files, and then we have, let's say we have them on our CDEs. Verified will integrate seamlessly to these common data environments. So as you can see in the slides, we are integrated with BIM 360, ACC, and that's because we're part of Autodesk Platform Services, APS. And of course, we have much more than that. We have Procore, SharePoint, Dropbox, and all the other major CDEs in the industry. Then we start validating our models within Verified using rules, filters, and also Verified template. And at the end, where the issue arises, we can report using the, I would say, the integrations that we have, whether you're working on coordination issues in Procore, BCF topics in Trimble Connect, or you just like to report in a regular way, in the classic way, which is Excel, CSV, or just link to our Power BI template. So there are different workflows which you can have on Verified. For this specific session, we're going to talk a bit about the MEP workflow and how it looks like. So we're going to start by having some Revit files for this session, where we have them on a BIM 360 account. And then this BIM 360 account is synced with Verified, okay? So we're going to import the files to Verified, and then in the validate section, we're going to do some property checks, free space, clashes, duplicates, and all of that. We can show you also the data viewer and how the metadata of our models look like in the browser. And then, of course, when we have our results, we're going to report them, whether it's in Excel, CSV, or we can just connect them to BIM 360 issue tracking system. Of course, in other scenarios, we could be integrated with Procore issues, new Forma Connect, BIM Collab. So not only BIM 360, but for this session specifically, we're going to talk about Revit and BIM 360. So if you have any questions, just feel free to drop it in the chat and we will take a look at it at the end of the session. And now let's dive into the demo. I have, as you can see in the screen, I have Verified open. As I told you, it's a browser-based environment. So we go to app.verified.com when, of course, we will have the login screen. After you log in, you will be directed to the home page of Verified over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to projects. And then I already have a project over here, the Snowdon Towers. That's the one that we're going to use for this session. Snowdon Towers, just to give you a quick brief, this is a template project that exists on Autodesk Revit 2024. So you can find it over there. And I think it's the suitable one for the checks that we're going to have for this session. So as you can see, it is imported directly from BIM 360. And I have also on another tab my BIM 360 account, which has the Revit files that we're going to use for this one. Okay, and just to keep in mind also, we have collaborated the electrical one, plumbing, and HVAC, the mechanical one, as part of the session today. So I already have them also on Revit. As you can see, here I have the plumbing one, the electrical one, and also the HVAC. So what we're going to do is that we're going to check them on Verified, get our results, try to fix them. If we have some time, we will fix them, and then we will see the results after the second check on Verified. So let's go to our platform, click on this project, which will take us to the project homepage. And then I'm going to choose models. So here, this is the project home page. We have models, filters, rules, and the project people who are working on this project. But since it's only me, I'm just going to go directly to models. And there you go. I already have it open. There you go. So just to give you like a quick brief, let me just clear this one up and show you how we add models to Verified. So this is the content of this project, and it's coming in the same way as Verified reads it from BIM 360. Okay, so we have 7 files over here. The same ones exist also on Verified. Before this session, I've already prepared some model sets. So we have the coordination model set, which contains all the disciplines. And also we have the MEP one, which is more specific to the electrical, HVAC, and the plumbing one. I'm going to load the coordination model set, show you how the model look like. Let's collapse this one. Okay, now as you can see, there are some the green buttons that you see next to the model name, which indicates V1, V2. You can see the yellow one turning into green, and that's the versions of these files, okay? So since we have 3 models that are collaborated on BIM 360, we are allowed, of course, to publish new versions of these ones. And using the synchronization or the link between Verified and BIM 360, we'll be able to retrieve the latest updates. So after we loaded our files, this is how the model look like. So I think the MEP parts, are mainly over here in this building. Okay, so if we zoom in, this is where we have our MEP models. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to rules real quick. Okay, I'm just going to refresh because I've already done some checks before the session. And we have some clash checks. So on Verified, we have 4 types of checks: clash, free space, property, and duplicate. These are the 4 main checks that we have. Of course, if you consider the IDS, the information delivery specifications validation part, we can just add it to the list, and that will be the 5th check that we have. And unlike other tools where IDS is only implemented on IFC, on Verified, IDS can be implemented on Revit and also IFC. So let's start by just having the clash check. So here we have a test. I think it makes sense to go to filters first. So I'll just go to filters from here. Okay, so you can see different filters for the elements. If I run any of them, let's say lighting fixtures, let me run it. Verified will classify the lighting fixtures, as you can see from here, and then we will have them in the data viewer. We have some IFC entity. Now this is an IFC data view, so I'm gonna run the Revit one since we're reusing the Revit data views. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is better. And then we're gonna run it one more time. There you go. Okay, now we have more information. That's good. So these are the lighting fixtures that we have. We've already created a bunch of filters. We have basic filters. We have also some specific filters. For instance, not only pipes, but domestic water pipes. And this is how it looks like. This is how the filter is set up. So if I reset the view and I go to edit and see how the domestic waters can be classified on Verified, you can see that first we're looking through the category property, which is equal to pipes. And then we're using the and/or operator to narrow down the results and select the domestic ones. So we're looking through the system type as a second property, and we're checking if it begins with domestic, and this is how we're retrieving the domestic, whether it's a domestic hot water pipe or a domestic cold water pipe, everything will be retrieved using this filter. Okay, and the reason we've created these filters is that it helps us in creating the rule set. For instance, if I go to the rule check over here in the validate, you can see that our clash check, the example one, is between pipes and ducts versus conduits from the electrical model. Okay, so if I go to edit, you can see this is how the rule editor for the clash check look like. So we have two categories that we need to specify. The first one is called base filters. The other one is colliding filters. In the first case, if we want to consider plumbing and mechanical as one entity, then I will add pipes and ducts as separate filters, two separate filters. Of course, you can have them in one filter, but just to make it easier for you, I just created two separate filters. The colliding ones, I'm just using conduits, okay? And to see how we can select it, you can just edit the filter from here. And you can see that we're looking for a category, which is equal to conduits. Perfect. And then I'm just going to close it and run it from here. Now, of course, you can run the whole rule set if you have more than one rule. But for this one, we only have one rule check. There you go. So we have 10 clashes in total. Okay, you can see them over here. And also to view them like better, we can use the data viewer. Okay, so this is the data viewer. The 10 clashes exist over here. If we hover over any of them, it will just highlight it in the 3D viewer. And if you click on it, it will just isolate it. Okay, so in this session, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to perform the checks that exist on Verified. I have some use cases, okay, based on my experience with MEP. I just collected I would say the interesting ones, which we need for the MEP workflow. And I will show you how we can do that easily on Verified, okay? So the clash check, like already there are a bunch of tools which use the clash check, but as you can see on Verified, it's quite easier because you just need to specify two filters, okay, or two categories of filters so you can clash them all together, okay? The other interesting check that I would like to share with you is the free space one, okay? So let me use this rule set. So the free space check on Verified creates some kind of a geometry for specific elements, okay? To make sure that they have accessibility areas, maintenance areas, however you want to call it. And also to make sure that this area is not clashing with any other element, okay? And the reason we have it here on Verified is that it does not create the actual geometry on the original files. So it keeps it only on Verified, you get your results, and then you can go back to the authoring tools, just like Revit, and fix it from there. So one of the use cases over here is the ceiling light, the linear box. Okay, so I'm gonna run it, and then I'm gonna show you how the rule would look like. So Verifi3D will start creating the geometry for the linear lighting, okay, the linear box, and see if it clashes with any other element. There you go. So this is the specific category that we're looking for, and this is the geometry that Verifi3D has created. And as you can see in this one, okay, over here, let me remove the context to make it easier for us to navigate. There you go. There is like this one over here. Now, I'm not sure, perhaps this is not considered as a clash. It depends always on the design, on the designing information in the beginning. But the way we see it over here, this could be a clash. I think this is in the parking. This is in the parking level. So it could be a clash, it could be not, but the other ones, as you can see, they are free. There are no elements interfering over here, okay? And that's quite good. Now let's look to on the check how it was created. So you can see that the rule type is a free space check, and this is the name. And our target, which is the element that we would like to create this geometry for, is lighting fixtures, and not all the lighting fixtures, but actually specific ones, the ceiling light linear box ones, okay? So if I go to edit, and we can see how it looks like. So you can see that we're looking through the category, which is lighting fixtures, but that's not enough. We need more information in order to narrow down the results. That's why we're using the and/or operator to go through the family and then choose ceiling light linear box ones. Okay, now of course the results can be shown in the data viewer if you have clashes. So just give it a second, there you go. We can sort them out. And with the data viewer, of course, I can do like different data manipulation over here. So I can just group them. So I can group them according to the results to see that actually I have one group which contains two clashes. Okay, I think the two clashes are existing here. One with the pipe, let's remove the context. Yes, one with the pipe over here, and the other one with the fitting. Okay, this is the lighting fixture. If you have any question, just drop it in the chat. I will take a look at them at the end. Also, if you have some other checks which you would like to perform, feel free to share them also in the chat, and we will take a look at them at the end. Perfect. The other one for the free space check is used for mechanical equipment, okay? We've seen this a lot in the MEP workflows where, for instance, fan coil units, air handling units needs to have some kind of free space next to them, underneath them for maintenance and all of that, okay? Now here we have the heat recovery units, okay? And we want to make sure that they have enough spaces underneath them. So I'm going to go to edit and see how it looks like. Okay, so the target is mechanical equipment because it's the only mechanical equipment that exists in this project, in the Snowden project. As for the disallowed elements, we don't want to see any MEP element underneath it, okay? Of course, this is not optimal. We can make some exceptions, okay? And we will see as we progress through the check which categories we can just neglect, okay? Now, regarding the creation of the geometry, as you can see, the dimensions for it, the width of the box is going to be 1 meter, the depth is 1 meter, and the height is 2 meters. So if any element, okay, exists in the 2 meters area, should be retrieved as an issue. And this is the alignment. So we're making it from the center and also from the center, not from the right or left. As for the height, we're using it from the bottom of the heat recovery unit. Okay, let me run it. Interesting. So we have 61 issues or 61 elements interfering within this area. You can see these ones, for instance, they don't have anything from MEP. So I removed the structural elements and all of that because I want to focus on the MEP ones. These are the most interesting and powerful clashes, I would say. That's why we're keeping only MEP. But you can see the other ones over here. These are quite, there's like enough space. So there are like multiple ways to neglect this clash. The first one is either we just reduce the size of the geometry that we're creating, or we could just ask Verifi to neglect air terminals, flex ducts, and also the fitting that we have. If I want to do so, I could just go to Edit and go to the disallowed part where I have the MEP elements, and I go Edit Filter. And as you can see, this is the filter that we're using for MEP elements. We have all these MEP categories. I can just drop the air terminals. So I'll click on X from here. And then the other one is flex ducts. And the other one is duct fittings. Duct fittings, this one. Okay. Okay, so we removed them. I can just click on Save. And then save the whole test. And run it one more time. And see how many flashes or how many issues did we reduce after neglecting these categories. Okay, so from 61 to 20, that's a progress. Okay, good. So these are the ones that we're left out with. So I would say these ones are pretty much accessible. These ones, we can either neglect them or we can just consider them as a clash. It depends on the design requirements and the design team, okay? And also like in construction side, if this is applicable or not, okay? So perhaps we can just move the heat recovery unit to the right a bit, or maybe you can just remove the box and you can consider this area as an accessibility area. So there are two ways, like multiple ways to do that. This one over here is also, there's a duct. I think this is a round duct. It's either a round duct or a pipe. Let's just go to properties. I think it's a pipe. Yeah, it's a pipe. Okay, so yeah, also the same thing. There is like enough space here. So I think it would be better if we can just reduce the geometry so we can neglect all these classes. But generally, all these heat recovery units are accessible. Perfect. And that's for the free space check. If you have any questions regarding this, just drop it in the chat and I will take a look at them. Okay. The third type of checks that we have on Verified is the property checks. Okay. Here we have some interesting use cases, electrical and mechanical. So let's start with the first one, conduits. Okay. If I go to models real quick and just show you the electrical model, how it looks like. This is the electrical model. Okay. So we want to make sure that these conduits that we have over here have a specific type. Okay. So these conduits in this specific project, they all need to be in the electrical metallic tubing type. So if there is any other type, a non-metallic type or so, it should be retrieved also as an issue by Verified. So let's show all the other ones just to make the view more beautiful, and then go to rules and run. We can run all the property checks. So Verified will run all these checks together at once, and we will get the results. But of course, if we want to dive into the results, we need to do one extra step, which is running the check individually. Okay, so let's start with the first one, conduit types. So we have 12 conduits which have wrong type. I'll run this one from here so we can view them in the data viewer. Okay, here we have the data viewer. And if I just sort them out, you can see that we have multiple ones which actually failed. Okay, if I zoom in a bit, let me remove the context. Okay, so these ones in red, they are not in the electrical metallic tubing. If I want to see the condition, I'll go to edit, and you can see that this property check was set up like this. So in the beginning, we specified the check, it's a property. We give it a name, and then for the filters, we targeted only conduits because this is the ones, these are the ones that we would like to check. As for the properties, we're going to the type property, okay, type name, and we're checking if it contains EMT, which stands for electrical metallic tubing, okay? So if I close this one and I go to the properties for this element, these are the green ones. Let's check them and go and type here, type name. You can see that the type name is electrical metallic tubing, and that's correct. But if I click on the red one, and that's wrong. Rigid metal conduit. This is wrong. Of course, this needs to be addressed in the authoring tools. So all of these ones, let me see what is the type for this one also. Yes, it's a rigid non-metallic conduit. This is also wrong. Okay. So we can report all of these at once. Okay, but I'm just gonna keep the reporting part till the end. Okay. Perfect. So that's for the conduit types. Let's reset the view. Click on the home to reset the camera. The other one is for mechanical, for plumbing. Okay. Now the domestic pipes, in general pipes, okay, in the plumbing system, okay, there is an additional flow property. Okay. Now in some cases, the additional flow property needs to be 0 in order to have accurate calculations for the flow. Okay. So here, as you can see, we have 5 pipes which have an additional flow, and that's wrong because in this specific project, all of them needs to have 0 additional flow. Okay, so I'm gonna run it and see which ones actually have the issue. Perhaps if we have some time also, we can just go back to Revit and fix them from there. Okay, now it's loading also in the data viewer because the data viewer will detect also the property, and it will give us the value. So if I just zoom in a bit, okay, there you go. So we have these two pipes. Okay, and I think also we have something here. Yes, so we have these two also. Okay, and if I want to have like more information about the results, I can just go to the data viewer, just sort them out and see. Okay, I just sorted them out. Okay, so the failed ones, which we see over here, the 5. So the additional flow, this is the additional flow. You can see that the past ones are all having 0 additional flow. But these ones which failed, they have 3, 5, 2, okay, additional flow. And this is wrong, of course. This needs to be addressed. The same thing for the next one, which is for ducts. So we have some round ducts over here, and we can see that 3 of them actually have additional flow. Okay, the additional flow, for those who don't know it, the additional flow, this is a property that exists in the pipes and also in ducts, okay? And the additional flow can be added to indicate the flow that is not coming from the mechanical equipment, okay? So over here, so we have some mechanical equipments over here, the heat recovery units, okay? Each one of them, provide a specific flow. And the duct will just calculate by Revit, of course, and the authoring tool will calculate the flow within the duct. But the additional flow, this is an extra one, which could affect the calculations. So here we have 1, so we have 3 in total, actually. Let me just take a wider look. There you go. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Okay, so these are the ones that are wrong. Okay. And the final one is the heat recovery unit. Okay, we have the mark. If I just go to the models and show only the HVAC one. There you go. This is the mechanical model. So this mechanical equipment, if I go to the properties and then I search for mark. Mark over, I can just type it. Okay, yes, that's it. Here. Yes, mark. Okay, so we see that the heat recovery units have a specific format for the value of the mark property. Okay, it needs to start with HRU. Okay, and then you give it the name or the number of this specific heat recovery unit. Okay, so we want to make sure, we want to ask Verified if all the the mechanical equipment or the HRUs contain the correct format of the mark property. So I'm going to go to rules, and here Verified is already telling me that there are 3 of them which have a wrong name. So I'm just going to run it. I'm going to keep the element properties on the right so we can see it. There you go. So we have some issues over here. 1, 2. Okay, Verified has told me 3. So I'm interested to know where's the 3rd one. Perhaps I'm loading a new version. But if I go to the results in the data viewer, I can sort them out. So we have 3. Okay, and as you can see, the mark property over here, which is added. So when you run the property check on Verified, Verified will retrieve the property that you are validating and give you the results, whether it's wrong or correct. It will just give it to you to give you more clarification on the results of the validation part. So you can see all the past ones, these ones, starts with HRU, except for these 3, 205, 409, 410. Okay, and this is wrong, of course. Let's see which ones are actually these. So 205, 409, 4010. Okay, so apparently it exists 4010. I'm not able to see it in the 3D viewer. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think one of them is just retrieved in a wrong color. But yeah, 3 of them actually have a wrong name. Even if we select them over here, and then I can select them from here, you can see that the identity the data mark is 410. Okay, and that's for the property check. If you have any property, any other property that you use in your workflow, just drop it in the chat. And yeah, we can just discuss it and show you how we can create this also on Verified. The 4th type of checks that Verified offers, okay, is the duplicate check. And this is also quite important, especially for MEP workflows, because sometimes we're working with links and all of that, and we could be copying some elements from here to there, which end up, of course, of having like elements on top of each other. So we need to address this issue and we need to report it. If I just go to models and turn them all on again, and then we go to rules, and then for the duplicate check, here it is done for the heat recovery units also. So I'm not sure if we have some, sorry, if we have some duplicates, I'm going to run it. Okay, we have only 1 duplicate. That's why we have 2 elements, which means that 2 elements have the same name, have the same geometry, and they exist in the same location in the model. So they have the same coordinates also. And this is how Verified detects it. To see how the check looks like, you can see it's pretty much easy. So we just choose duplicate check, give it a name, and you can do it per model, or you can do it like for all the models at once. And to make it or to narrow down the results and check like a specific type of elements, you just need to add a filter. And here I've added the mechanical equipment one, okay? Which, as I told you in the beginning, in this project, only the heat recovery units are considered mechanical equipments, okay? So this is the one, okay? I think if I hide it, yes, another element will appear. But if I hide this one, all of them will disappear. Yes, I can just reset everything. So we have an issue over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reapply the results, zoom in a bit, okay? And I'm going to show you how we can report this. So the first thing we can do is that I can just sort the results, okay, to see the ones that actually have the issues. So I can either export the results that I have in the data viewer, which I can customize and I have full control over that. I can either export them to CSV or Excel. This is like one way to work with it. Or I can just select it from here, or I can select a group of clashes and then create an issue. Okay, so if I create an issue from here, Verified will instantly take a screenshot for this issue. And as you can see, we're using here Verified, but since we're working on a BIM 360 project and Verified is actually synced with my BIM 360 account, I can use the document management and issues from BIM 360 and link Verified to them. So I can change the provider from here, choose BIM 360, and just link my account real quick. And then I just go to my BIM 360 account and Snowdon Towers project, click on add. Okay, now this project is quite new, so we don't have any issues in it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna create a new issue from here, make a screenshot. And I can do that for all the other checks, not only the duplicate check, by the way. So we just take the screenshots, the issue type. I'm just gonna fill it randomly from here. Status, this is open until someone, of course, fixes it. So I can just say in the title, duplicate, and then HRU, okay? And then I will assign it to myself. The due date, let's say in a week from now. That's too much. Okay, let's just make it tomorrow because it's only like one element. And then the owner is also me. The root cause, just put any entry, constructability, and then just click on save. Now the issue will be saved on Verified. It is created on Verified, kept on Verified, and also synced to BIM 360. There you go. Now if I go to my BIM 360 account, and then I go to issues, you can see that duplicate HRU was created. If I click on this specific issue, I will have the screenshots over here. Okay, so to make this more interesting, we're gonna go back to Revit, fix the issues real quick and sync them back to Verified, okay? Without any manual work of, having them on my local drive and then uploading them and do all of this. This will require us a lot of time. So I'm gonna go from the data viewer, I'm gonna do it the classic way by just taking the Revit ID and fix it from there. So I'm just gonna copy it from here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to my Revit account. So this is the mechanical one, which is this one. There you go. Then I'm gonna go to the ID, select the element. There you go. Yes, as you can see, even from the shape, like the shadows that exist, we have some kind of a duplication over here. Okay, so I can just select it and drag it. Yes, you can see that it's actually duplicates. Okay, so I think the first one that we've selected is the original. So I'm gonna go back here and select the second one. There you go, and then just hit delete. Okay, I've deleted it. So now we're good to go. Also, we can change the marks for the other ones, but I'm just gonna keep it for the duplicate. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna synchronize. Click on OK, because now Revit is collaborated on BIM 360 and BIM 360 is connected to Verified. So as soon as I make an update on the Revit file, an update will happen on BIM 360, but I just need to push it from here. I will go to my collaborated files. You can see that I've already done 3. So all of them have the latest updates, but I just deleted an element and I synced the model. So I just need to refresh. Okay, and as you can see, yes, an update is available for the HVAC one. So I'll just go to the 3 dots and publish the latest, but I will do it without links because as you've seen on Verified, if I go to models from here, I'm using all the models, so I don't need to have all the links. It will just result in duplicates and all of that. So I'll just publish latest without links, click on publish. Hopefully this won't take a lot of time, but it will just, until it syncs to BIM 360, and then I will just get the latest update from Verified. So I'm just going to give it some time. In the meantime, if you have any other interesting check that you would like to see on Verified and you're using within your organization, or let's say you're struggling with, just let us know in the chat. when we can have a discussion in the Q&A. Also, let us know which tools you're using for authoring. Is it Revit? Do you work with IFC? Which ones do you think, I would say, like more popular, Revit or IFC? Okay, so you can see that we have the latest update. Now I just go directly to my verified. I'll go and check with my BIM 360 account real quick. Go to folders, go to project files. You can see now we have V6. Before that, we have only V5, which is the 5th version. Actually, over here on Verified, I loaded the 4th one. Okay, that's why we had some discrepancy in the results. But no worries. What I'm going to do is that I'm just going to refresh. That's it. From here. And then go to change version. And as you can see, the 6th one was just added. Now, if you choose always latest, then you can just forget about the manual work over here. Okay, Verified will instantly get the latest update. As soon as it gets an update from BIM 360, it will just load it. So I'm just going to choose version number 6. And as you can see, it will start converting on Verified again. Okay, so let's just give it some time. Don't worry about the 3D view over here. That's completely normal because now we're converting a new file from here. Okay. Okay, so quick information about the conversion process on Verified. There are 2 conversion processes for IFC and for Revit. The first one for Revit is design automation using Autodesk platform services. And that's why we're able to see our Revit files in the browser in Verified. Okay. The other one is IFC parser, which allows us to have our IFC files also in the 3D viewer of Verified. Also, what you see here in the 3D viewer is not the original file. This is a converted file, which comes in V3D file format, Verified format. And these files are pretty much secure. You cannot download them, manipulate them, upload them to other services or other platforms. You can just keep them on Verified. As soon as you clear the cache, okay, or you just convert the latest updates, it will erase the previous one and have the new one over here. So that's for the conversion. And also, like, I'm just quite interested to know which files do you work with mostly? Is it IFC and is it or Revit? And if you're working with IFC, do you export that from Revit or are you using other platforms? So yeah. Okay, so let's reset the view. There you go. Now we have V6. Okay, so now we had the latest update. As you can see, pretty much straightforward. I could just go real quick to rules and run the duplicate one, which is the one that we actually fixed. All the other ones, we just kept them just to save us some time. And then I'm just going to run the duplicate check. Needs to be 0 now. 37 passed. Okay, so 37 passed, which means the mechanical equipment, all of them are not duplicates. All of them are real. I can just zoom in. You can see that, you know, the issue from here has disappeared and everything here has passed. Now, if I go to my issue and go to edit, this is the screenshot that I had. Okay. Yes, so I had to save the viewpoint. Apparently, I just completely forgot to save the viewpoint. But yeah, this is the original issue. This is how it looks like now. What I can do is that I can just close it from Verify since it's not here anymore. And then I can just save it. So now the status is closed. If I go to my BIM 360 account, then I go to issues. No issues has found. So the issue was closed. And that's why we cannot see it on BIM 360. So we fixed it. Okay, so that was like a quick, I would say like a quick overview of the MEP workflow on Verified and the checks that are quite, you know, I wouldn't say like complicated, but it takes a lot of time to check and perform on other tools. As you can see, I just did it on Verified in less time than the other tools. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. So we can automate MEP processes in terms of model checking, and all of this is part of ISO 19650 requirements. If you would like to know more about Verified, feel free to book your demo today with me, and we can discuss your organizational requirements and all of that, and how your model checking processes look like, and how we can improve it also with Verified. You can also reach out to me via my email, word@xinaps.com, or you can reach out on LinkedIn. We're happy to share our latest publication, BIM Model Checking Playbook, for everyone, and it's available in English, Dutch, and also German. As for our upcoming sessions, as I told you, we're having a new series of webinars. Today we talked about MEP, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical. The next one is going to be about structural and architectural, and show you how the main checks would look like on Verified, on the email info@xinaps.com for more information. Okay, so that was it from my end. Let me know if you have some questions. Now the floor is open for Q&A. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope that we can see you in other sessions in the future. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.